Hi everyone. This is a video to give you a sense of the kind of thing I'm looking for in terms of your preliminary final project proposal. The format of your preliminary final project is meant to be a research proposal. So I'm going to draw upon some of my past work to describe what I'm looking for in terms of your research proposal. So I'm going to go back and forth from being your instructor to tell you what I'm looking for, but also then my description of a research project. So my research project is called Modeling and Visually Representing Geohistorical Context. And this is actually the project that I did for my doctoral dissertation a long time ago at Penn State. So I'm going to use that as the example. So your proposal should give yourself and your readers an introduction. For example, a reality check. Are you clearly and unambiguously identifying and describing your research topic? So in mine, this idea of context. Context was a difficult concept to define, model, and represent. So as we see here in this image, trying to understand something like a university in a state over time. And if you know anything about Penn State, it has a lot of connections both to Pennsylvania, but also the broader United States. So that was the idea of geohistorical context that I'm interested in for this research. Now, as per the reading that you should have done before this, the problem statement, what kind of problem is this? Who is it a problem to, and why is it being investigated? So in the text in italics here, I talk about how there are 3 challenges to modeling and producing context. No formal model exists for reasoning about context. And now this is probably most important for what I'm presenting to you today. In application domains such as crisis management, context does not exist in an isolated state. It comes from heterogeneous information that evolves over time. Now, motivation, why would we want to do this? So I try to further explain this problem and so forth. And again, the types of problems, who is this really a problem for? And in my research, context can be derived from all kinds of things, news reports, maps, people working together, and so forth. And I cite some literature here how this was a problem back in the days of Hurricane Katrina. Right? So for example, if you look on the left there, you see a map of a current ongoing event. It could be a hurricane, just like we had recently with Florence, and you need context to understand that. How has past hurricanes affected an area? What is the geographic information? What are the concepts involved in terms of the emergency or crisis management domain? How are people involved? Collaboration in text. All of those things, as seen by the dotted line, go into putting the current situation into context or framing and shaping of the problem. So the goals of my research project are, I want to build a proof of concept geovisual analytic environment that's designed to support the production of geographical and historical context. And remember, goals are strategic. And I find that a lot in my teaching that students often mix up goals and objectives that I'll talk about next, but goals are the strategy, the big picture things. Now, the objectives are the tactical things, the specific steps you're going to do to achieve the goals. So if I restate my goal, I want to implement a proof of concept analytical environment. I'm going to have 2 objectives. The environment's going to enable the production of context to support answering questions, and it's also going to provide visual representations of context. So I have 2 objectives under that main goal. And this is sort of related to the problem, but the significance and potential benefits. So is what I'm claiming reasonable? And again, if you go back to the discussion I made, the slides that I gave you about forming a research argument, claims, and so forth, I'm claiming that little research has been done on this approach for crisis management or even humanitarian information management, and how this will advance new scientific understanding for the use of visual strategies and so forth. Now, I'm not expecting your particular project to go to this level. This is what a doctoral dissertation should do, but it's always good to think big and so forth. Now, here is some literature that I found to support this research, and I'll give you a quick summary of 2 papers that I reviewed. The first is a paper by Guidini and Guccielli from 2001, and this is the idea of local model semantics, which is a way in which we can actually model the concept of context, which looks at partial states of the world from individual perspectives and how reasoning is drawn from a subset of knowledge to the goals at hand. The second is the classic visual analytics paper by Thomas and Cook, 2005, that maybe some of you that took a different class might have heard of this. But this was the core paper about visual analytics, or analytical reasoning facilitated by interactive visual interfaces. So I want to develop deep insight through visual interfaces and use representations and interactions to take advantage of the human eye's broadband pathway to explore and see things, kind of like the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And I want to transform data and representations to support visual analysis, and then ultimately produce, present, and disseminate. So that is what my research is going to draw upon, these ideas to produce geohistorical context. Okay, so the methods. Now in this class, you've been learning about a lot of different methods over the past 4 weeks using tools like ArcGIS Online, ArcMap, and so forth. And so how do we go about answering or achieving the goals, questions, and so forth? And so as it says here in the italics, my methods are going to focus on implementation of a computational and visual interface as per the ideas of visual analytics in a geovisual analytic environment, and I'm going to use open source technology. Now, in your case, I don't expect you to go that far. I strongly encourage you to draw upon the tools you've learned. I also am expecting probably a lot of you are going to probably do more of an analysis type of thing. So for example, I'm interested in pollution in the Great Lakes, and I'm going to use ArcMap to do a statistical analysis of pollution levels and so forth. And this is where your methods then, I'll use hotspot analysis to achieve that. But you can use whatever you want. Now my expected results, you could say these are screenshots of what I'm going to do. So in my case, I took news sources, extracted place references from them, built visual interfaces, and then rendered them out in Google Earth, in my case. Now, again, this is just an example. This might be an example of a prototype of something I'm expecting to build or preliminary analysis I've done. I strongly encourage you to draw upon what you've done in past weeks in this class so that you can use literature and other sources to move yourself forward, ideally. But if you want to start completely with a new topic, that's fine.